This is the second part of my viewer request, how to interpret card spreads as a whole. Now I'm going to take a look at a card spread and how I would read that for another person as opposed to the 3-card reading I just did for myself and interpreting that as a whole. The deck that I'm using is the Oracle of the Dragonfae by Lucy Cavendish. I just did tarot in the last video, so I wanted to do Oracle in this one. Excuse me. Okay, so for this I'm going to use 3 cards again. Now remember, when you're reading for someone else and also for yourself, that you want to be paying close attention to any images that are coming up in your mind, any phrases perhaps that you're hearing, something, scents that you're smelling, feelings that you get. When you're open to reading for someone else, all of these things are important. I find oftentimes I'll have lyrics from a song stuck in my head, or I will see an image. And if I share that with my client or the other person I'm reading for, it ends up being something that has a lot of bearing on the reading and is very important. And if I hadn't shared that, I would have missed out on being able to get the whole picture of the reading and what information that they need to know at this time. So I'm going to start over here. I'm going to do past, present, future for this 3-card spread for my client. The first card that I have in the past position is Lady Luna's Magic, synchronized with lunar time and energy. So it's important when you're reading for someone else and for yourself to make sure that you take time to look at the spread. Again, looking at it as a whole, looking at it individually, and then start to speak. Give your intuition and your mind time. And again, if this doesn't work for you, then definitely don't feel that you need to work with it. But for me, taking time and not immediately feeling like I have to start talking to them and telling them things is very helpful. So I have Lady Luna's Magic in the past. I have Mimu, Seek the Council of Crystals in the present. And I have Fernia, Clarity, as the future for my client. So let's start with what I see as a whole, again, just like we did with the tarot spread. I've got a lot of green energy in here. I also have blue in 2 of the cards. So blues and greens. For me, that means that the client is in a space of we're doing heart chakra work. And also that she's in the emotional feeling realm. Again, water, just like we saw in the past reading. I wonder why water keeps coming up. Obviously, that's an important thing in my life right now. But so I have the water element represented here. I have dragons. I've got 2 dragons in this spread. Actually, I have 3. So we're talking a lot about that kind of grounded earth, but also fire energy. And the necessity to be grounded in the moment, in your own space, sure of who you are and trusting your inner voice. So I know that that's an important theme for my client. Perhaps they're not paying attention to that. Perhaps they're not grounding themselves. And they're really not sure of trusting themselves and where they're standing right now regarding a certain issue. So let's say that they've come to me seeking clarity regarding their personal life. And so we're doing a past, present, future spread for them. Again, in the past, I have Lady Luna's Magic, synchronized with lunar time and energy. So I could offer to my client that in the past, perhaps there's been a space of changing who you are to make the person that you're with happy and letting go of the intrinsic part of yourself that is your truth and your spiritual path to make someone else happy. Perhaps leaving a more earth-based way for a more Christian way, or perhaps leaving a Christian way for a more earth-based way, perhaps disregarding their spirituality completely and entirely. And that this has, in a sense, negatively affected themselves, but also their relationship because they haven't been able to be honest and to be who they truly are. Now I have Mimu Seek the Council of Crystals for the present spread. The space that they're in now is a space of reawakening to this energy of who they really are. Perhaps they are not realizing just how much this affected them, but just instinctively they're coming back into the space of being more aware of what makes them happy and what they actually want in life and the path that they're going to follow. And it's very important for them that the focus right now be on what makes them happy and not what's best for the relationship. It's kind of a solitary focus that they need to have, even though they may still be in relationship. For the future, we have Furnia, clarity. This tells me that, just from the energy I feel from the spread and imagining the client that I have here, for their future, again, it's very important for them to be following their own path, to be listening very closely to their own intuition, and to be trusting that putting their happiness in its equal space with that of their partner is what's going to make a relationship work. So there we've looked at the cards individually. Now let's talk about condensing the whole spread down to give a clear message for our client. They want clarity on their relationship. So I'm going to share with them that in the past they've given up parts of themselves, and this has been very detrimental, not just to them as a person, but also to the relationship, because there hasn't been truth in the relationship regarding what they actually want in their life and feeling fulfilled. What's going to happen in the future based on this? Well, the space that they're in now is a space of reawakening to what they actually want to have in their lives and what's important to them. And it's essential that they follow that, and that they give themselves the time, the energy, the resources necessary to make themselves happy in order for the relationship to continue. If they don't do that, then the relationship may in time disintegrate. And in fact, from the energy of the spread, it looks like that's what could happen if they're not giving themselves the energy and the time that they deserve. If they choose to do this, then the relationship may and indeed flower and prove to be a lasting relationship. But at this time, it's very important for them to put themselves first, because if they don't, then the relationship may not end up being a long-standing one, and they will have lost parts of themselves that they then have to retrieve with the breakdown of the relationship. Hold on, I've got to go take care of the baby. Okay, so that is how you can read the spread. Again, getting the energy as a whole, looking at the cards individually, and then tying the cards together to get the concrete message, which for this relationship would be that the relationship is one that's not going to, in the end, withstand the test of time, especially if this person, the client, continues to deny parts of him or herself in order to make their other half or their significant other happy in the relationship. If they can give themselves that needed time and the energy and use of resources to make themselves happy, then perhaps the relationship, can end up being one that's of long standing. But at least in a certain energy, in a certain light of this time and space and this reading, the relationship doesn't look like it's going to stand the test of time, or that it's a relationship that the client should necessarily continue to stay in. And so it's essential for themselves to give themselves the time and energy in order to heal and to be a full and whole person, so that they can continue on after the relationship ends. Another thing that can help you greatly in your readings are the use of stones and crystals. For this reading, I have jasper, tiger's eye, and carnelian. However, using stones that you find outside is also a wonderful way to receive insight into the reading. So how do you use the stones to interpret the spread as a whole? There are the traditional meanings of the stones themselves. Here we have stones about protection, groundedness, coming into your own power, and not allowing others to take power from you. And also with the picture jasper, perhaps looking at the past and needing to realize that the way forward is essential, to not focus so much on the past and what they thought was so important to them, because that's not the case anymore. However, you can also use outside stones as well, not stones that you've purchased in a store, but that you found outside. And I always like to channel the stones before a reading, whether that's for myself or for a client. And I do that by holding the stone in my receptive hand. So if you're a righty, that would mean you use your left hand. If you're left-handed, you use your right hand. And I just hold the stone like this, and I ground myself, I calm myself, and I ask to receive any messages that the client or myself needs to know at this time. And I'll always receive a very clear message, and usually images as well, that will help give me insight into the reading and help me interpret the reading as a whole. While I'm doing the reading, I also have kind of my ear tuned into anything that I'm hearing from the stones that are present in the spread. And also I'm paying attention to if there's a window and I can see outside, or if we're sitting outside to do the reading, what animals are walking by, flying by, crawling by. What am I seeing? That kind of thing to help me to interpret the spread as a whole. Those messages are very important, and if you can tune into them and quietly, silently ask what's the message at this time for the client or for myself, you'll get a very clear answer, just like with the stones, to help give you some insight into the reading. So I hope that this has been helpful and has helped clear up for you how to not just interpret each card individually in the spread, but also as a whole. For the third part of this viewer request series, I'm going to show you how to do a reading as a whole without using set card spaces in the spread. So a freeform spread, and how to interpret that kind of reading as a whole. Because for some readers, card spreads with set positions can be difficult to interpret when someone has a question, say about a relationship in this instance, and you're using past, present, future. That can be a little confusing, and for some people it doesn't work. And I really like to use an intuitive freeform spread, so we're going to work with that next. And I will see you in that video. Thanks for watching.